this week's lesson, Mortals and Immortals, has a very familiar golden text. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face, which seems to set up perfectly the relationship between mortals and immortals. And then the responsive reading, what was clear in my thought that I need to investigate was the idea of to glorify. Jesus says that, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And then he also says, before he goes through the crucifixion, glorify me now, Father, as I have glorified you. Now, what does that glorify mean? So I worked through it with the dictionary, etc., and I came out with this idea that we glorify God is we demonstrate. The word demonstrate seems to me from our side to be what glorify God means. Demonstrate God as life, truth, and love. And then we are glorified ourselves because we are seeing ourselves as spiritual. So there's glorification, as Jesus repeatedly stated it, that we are glorified as we glorify God. Now, how we glorify God is to demonstrate that we understand and love him as life, truth, and love. Now, section 1. I love some of the verbs used in this particular section, especially in contrast to the Bible study that I'm now going through at Whitehorse Village. For we that are in this tabernacle, 2 Corinthians 4, do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, and mortality might be swallowed up of life. Now, the general, as I have found, idea of immortality is you go through mortality, be as good as you can, and then you die and receive immortality. But Mrs. Eddy is so much clearer that we are being clothed upon. I think that's a lovely expression. Not knocked dead so that we can become immortal. And she uses the term, mortality might be swallowed up of life. That is so different from the other belief. That right now we are spiritual and we are seeing it and demonstrating day by day. Now, later on, she uses the other verb that I kind of expected, but it leaped out at me also. In that same section, page 306, she says, the mortal seeming is temporal, never merges into immortal being. So the idea that, well, we're spiritualizing ourselves and eventually we'll be immortal, but finally disappears. That's a strong word. It disappears, an immortal man, which is what we've always been. Spiritual and eternal is found to be the real man. Now that is so different from common teaching at my Bible study. It doesn't merge. One doesn't ever touch the other. It just disappears. And we don't know where it goes because it never was true anyway. Yeah, right. Yes. It's 306:30 and then 190. This comes from 190 in that section. Yeah, I know, because that is a statement. God's man, spiritually created, is not material and mortal. And then 190 backs that up. It's in her chapter on physiology. Boy, she knows the words. I can understand why she rewrote Science and Health so many times, because she just went for the right verbs. Does not merge, it disappears. Let's see. What else do we have? Simulating deific power. The other verb she uses in Science of Being, 295:11. Mortals are not like immortals, created in God's own image, but infinite spirit being all. Mortal consciousness will at last yield to the scientific fact and disappear, not merge, disappear, not become spiritualized, disappear. So that when we had that famous story, Mrs. Eddy teaching a class, touched the arm of one of the students and said, now what is this? And he started to give qualities of handleability and strength and so forth. She said, no, it is spiritual right now. And I think her verbs in this lesson are very, very well chosen. And in fact, let's say it is in fact spiritual, meaning she just gets the right verb. Okay, then in section 2, that glorification of man and God. Isaiah 43, verse 21. This people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. And that is a definition of to glorify. To show forth praise is to glorify, and to glorify is to heal, to demonstrate. Okay? For some reason, 507 in section 2 hit me. Creation is ever appearing and must ever continue to appear from the nature of its inexhaustible source. Active creation, not the idea that, well, God created everything and it's all done, but rather that creation, spiritual creation, is the only thing that exists, and it is being revealed to us, and in that sense appears active. And it also is very helpful to me as an idea of God, that my creative sense of things does not diminish because I'm older. It's very important to me. It might not be to anyone else, but it means that always this revelation of God's creation is an active thing. It's not that he is actively creating something new all the time, but it's there, and I, as a reflection, am actively creative also, as I reflect that. That's very important to me. Had big discussions in philosophy in college about that whether God is still interfering, as it were, in human affairs. And I really didn't get it clear for a long time that his creation is done. It fills all space, and we are the reflection of that creation. And so we are active always, because he didn't stop creating, but creation is a revelation in ourselves and in our universe. And that's an active revelation. Okay. Now, the last part I wanted to talk about, because it really hit me very hard, and that is false education. Now, it appears in a passage that I just didn't ever read before, and yet I have read from Ezekiel. This is Ezekiel 34, and I had taken from it all the good things about God's love, God's caring for his people always. Let's see if I can get that in front of me. Oh, there's dear old Jeremiah. He's always so unhappy. Okay, Ezekiel 34, did I say? Okay. Ezekiel 34. I will both search out my sheep and seek them out, as the shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered. And I will feed them in a good pasture and upon the high mountains. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries and bring them to their land and feed them upon the mountains. I will seek that which was lost. This is my favorite that I read. I will seek that which was lost and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. No, nothing more on that. And so it speaks about God as shepherd, or the Christ as shepherd, as we would put it, for those in need of care. Now, in that same chapter, and I didn't read this, but in that same chapter, thus saith the Lord God, I'm in section 5, looking at Ezekiel 34:2. Thus saith the Lord God unto the shepherds, woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves, but not the shepherds feed the flocks. The disease have not been strengthened, neither have they healed that which was sick. Neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away, neither have you sought that which was lost. But with force and with cruelty have you ruled them, and they were scattered, because there is no shepherd. Now, this brings to me a sense of what Mrs. Eddy says of the false education of the children of Israel when they were in Egypt, the pharaohs. She uses the term the pharaohs, and I don't have the quote in front of me. But the leaders are not doing when they teach of the material universe as being God's creation, instead of the God who has as Christ the active care for his idea. And it is so clear to me that those two passages are related to education. And it's a very serious thing also. For you've got to fill the Sunday school with children. You've got to educate them. Wisdom and knowledge and joy. Ecclesiastes, section 4. For God giveth to a man that is good in his sight, and we are all good in his sight. Wisdom and knowledge and joy, and not distress and instability, worry, etc. So that's, I'm keeping it kind of short. There's the use of the word, I noticed this in Luke 7, that's in section 5. Luke 7:11-16. It has the word glorified in it. And there came a fear This is when he has raised the young man in the city of Nain. And there came a fear and awe, and they glorified God, saying, what a great prophet is risen up among us. Because Jesus was demonstrating God. He was showing what God is in relationship to man. And then the word praise goes with glorification. Psalm 118 that follows, thou art my God, and I will praise thee. Thou art my God. I will exalt thee, which is glorification. So that is, I'm sort of repetitive, but that is what stands out to me. Okay?